I haven't met you and you are new, my name is Todd, and me and my wife Avery, you all come on stage, get the opportunity to serve as the lead pastors around this place, and we'd love to get to know you a little more. So if this is your first week or the first couple weeks and you have yet to introduce yourself to us, we'll be out in the lobby after service, and we would love to come, and for you to just come and shake our hands, get to know you a little better. And I do want to take a moment and thank our kids team. Man, we had a blast around here, and Linda, the lunch lady, was here, and if you're part of the kids ministry, she was amazing. I showed up one day, the kids were chanting Pastor Todd. I answered a Bible trivia question, they got double ice cream. I was signing autographs, it was amazing. So if you want an autograph after the service, or if you want to follow me on Instagram, not that I'm asking you to do that, at PS Todd Force on Instagram. Oh man, legendary summer, week number two of this series, and we're learning. If you got your Bibles, I encourage you last week during the summer, bring your Bibles, bring a paper Bible. Get in the habit of bringing a paper Bible, marking it up, letting the Lord speak to you. Grab those message notes. Judges 16. We're just spending 9 weeks in the Old Testament. Last week we talked about Samson. He's one of my Sunday school heroes, and we looked at some reality of Samson, and I hope you enjoyed that. I preached myself happy. Even if you didn't like it, I enjoyed it. So, and what we're doing over these 9 weeks is looking at Old Testament characters. Next week for Father's Day, I want to encourage you to be here for that. Next week I'll be talking a little excerpt from Elijah, and then we'll see what the Lord does the rest of the time. But I wanted to kind of circle back around to Samson today. Because I think he holds, because a lot of times when you read Sunday school stories, you tie in like the storybooks that your mom used to read or grandma used to read. It says, once upon a time in a land far, far away. And you start reading these stories of Samson and you start thinking the same thing. But really what I wanted to do is look at maybe the profound impact that it could have on our lives today, and kind of to set the scene so everybody's on the same page, whether you were here last week or not. What you need to know about the book of Judges is a time in the nation of Israel where they have no respect for God. It's a time after they have come out of Egypt and slavery, and Moses had died, and then Joshua ascends to the throne, or not really the throne, but the leadership position, and then they conquer the land of Canaan, and then God gives them the promised land and a place of rest, and then Joshua dies. So Moses had died. Joshua has died. There is no king. And if you like Bible study notes, you need to know a key phrase, not just in Samson's life, but all throughout the book of Judges. And the key phrase, we said this last week, was just simply, everyone did what was right in their own eyes. You'll hear that over and over again. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. And if you're not careful, you could actually think that came from a soundbite in 2023, that everyone did what was right in their own eyes. So because of this, they get stuck in a cycle. Anybody remember the cycle from last week? Go online, you'll see all the cycle, and they get stuck in a cycle where they sin, and God would give them over to their sin. So then God, in His mercy and His grace and His goodness, He would raise up a judge. Now, a judge is not a judicial judge. He's not administering justice in that type of form. A judge was simply a ruler, a leader, or a temporary deliverer. A ruler, a leader, or a temporary deliverer. And there were many judges, men and women, great weaknesses, great strengths, and that's where we call our buddy Samson. Samson was set apart from the start, and if he would have went to high school, he would have been voted most likely to succeed. And I want to kind of wrap up our time together today by doing this. Here's what I want to do today. I want to read one verse to you, and then I want to preach 3 chapters. And I'll get you out on time, and you can beat the Baptist to Cracker Barrel, all right? So it's 10:30, all right. I want to read one verse, and then we'll break it down. Let's go Judges 16:6. Most famous, Samson and Delilah. So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." I want to use for a title today, Secret Strength. Secret Strength. It seems to me that a lot of people are looking for secrets. They're looking for secrets to success. They're looking for secrets to achievements. In fact, all you got to do is scroll social media and you will see somebody telling you, hey, here's a secret side hustle that can make you $87 billion. All you got to do is buy my $99.99 course and I'll tell you how to make more money. And they do it by buying courses. And before there were courses and Instagram reels, I grew up in the golden age of the infomercial. Come on in, somebody who knows I'm talking about cha-cha-cha-chia. Come on, who knows what I'm talking about? Oh, yeah, you had to have it. Yeah, the infomercial. I remember the Sham Wow. It had the Britney Spears microphone. Remember Sham Wow? Yeah, you had to have a Sham Wow up in there. Another one I jotted down that I was just thinking about. Before Alexa could control your lights, they came up with this thing called the clapper. You remember it? Come on, it was what? Clap on. How many have no idea what I'm talking about? You have no idea what was just said. Oh, youngins, you are youngins. Now, the greatest infomercials, though, they involve weight loss. Oh, weight loss infomercials. They had the secret. There was this blonde girl in the 80s called Suzanne Summers. Anybody know what she sold? Anybody know what she sold? A Thigh Master. I looked this up. Here's what the Thigh Master was advertised as a fast, inexpensive way to get in shape. Users could simply squeeze their legs together against two-pronged resistance, and boom, you would have a rocking body. It's the secret. Now, I remember that as a kid, but I remember in the early 2000s, a shoe brand called Skechers came out with these shoes, Skechers Shape-Ups. Here's the secret. Watch this. All right. You could, by simply wearing these shoes, increase your lower leg muscle activation, increase calorie burn, improve posture, and reduce moderate back pain. However, on their website, in the fine print, it says this: decreases in body weight, body fat, increases in muscles of strength have not been clinically shown. Now, my favorite one. I said my favorite one. We're going to move on. Some of you are like, what does this have to do with Samson? We'll get there. Okay, give me a minute. All right. Was 60-second abs. Oh, yeah. Dude would come on me like on the TV, be like, do you want abs? I would be like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And he's like, you do this thing for 60 seconds. I was like, I want abs, but I also want tacos. I like the El Paso Mexican grill and carbs. Come on, somebody, right? Everybody was selling a secret. Everybody said, hey, this is how you do it. In fact, if you want to lose weight, you need to burn more calories than you take in. That's the secret. That'll be $99.99. Come on, but give on the way out, give in the offering. Anyway, here's what I figured about everybody. We're trying to search. We want secrets all over our life. We want a secret to strength. In fact, if I could tell you you have more strength in your faith, you better tell me the secret. If I could tell you you have more strength in your parenting, you better tell me the secret. If I could tell you, if I told you you have more strength in your discipline or in your devotion, you better tell me the secret. Because here's what a lot of times is we see it in other people. I'm like, man, I wish I had their patience. I wish I had their faith. I wish I had their strength. In fact, let me say it like this. We want often what we see. Here's the problem with that. Often what we see was formed by private disciplines that we didn't see. In fact, many people want to post publicly what we're unwilling to invest in privately. And the secret to spiritual strength, the secret to Samson-type strength, the secret is not developed in the public eye. Secret strength is developed only in the secret place. If you're with me, say amen. So I want to give you three things from these three chapters and kind of bring all of this to a close this week, at least for Samson's story. And the first one is this: what was the secret to Samson's strength? Number one, throw it up there, is that it was God's spirit, not Samson's strength. That was the secret. That God's Spirit, through His Spirit, there is access to supernatural strength. And here's how you know when God's Spirit is working in and through people, God gets the glory. In fact, the verse I gave you, 16:6, said they want to know the secret of His strength. So I'm an analytical person. I started thinking, well, then it must have not been obvious. Like, when I went to Sunday school, I grew up Sunday school. Any Sunday school kids in here? I grew up Sunday school, man. You thought Samson was like a superhero. In fact, I brought some pictures of how I thought. Here, show me my first picture. When I thought of Samson, that's what I thought of. If you smell what the rock is cooking. Come on, somebody. Wrestling, that's right, man, wrestling. Rock and Roll Express, wrestling. That's what I used to grow. Here's the thing. He didn't look like The Rock. He looked like the Todd. That's what he looked like, the Todd. It wasn't, sorry about the shaky. Remember that thing? That, it was shake the weight away? Yeah, I need to get me one of them. Jose, I'm sorry. I apologize. I was like, oh, gosh. He went too far. Show him another. Here's what you think of. Here's what, you're like, when you think of Samson, you're like, this dude was raw. But the text doesn't imply that. The text is he looked ordinary. The text, show me. The text implies he looked like this one. Show me the next one. That's what he looked like. How many of you in this room have no idea who that is? Raise your hand if you have no idea. How many know who that is? How many know? Come on, Pee Wee Herman, somebody. We used to think he dressed stupid. Now a bunch of preachers dress like that. Anyway, sorry. Don't put this one online. Show them the next one. I'll show my age on this one. That's Samson. What was his secret? Judges 15:6. Here's what it says. Throw it up there. Read the underlined part with me. It says this. Say it with me. The Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him powerfully. And came upon him so that he tore a lion apart with his bare hands, as he might have torn apart a young goat. Apparently, goat tearing was normal. But he neither told his father nor his mother what he had done. I researched. I don't know why God's Spirit came on him to tear a lion apart. The only thing I looked through commentaries and biblical definitions and encyclopedias. The only thing I could think of is that a lion is part of the cat family, and God hates cats too. Read your Bible. Don't get mad at me. I'm just being funny. Calm down. I did think about this. Peter in the New Testament says that we have an enemy like the devil, who prowls around like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And when you're walking in the power and the authority of the Spirit, I think there is a place where the man of God or the woman of God can say, devil, I'm not the one, not today, Satan. Why? Because I'm telling you, Samson might not have looked like much, but he has God's Spirit on the inside of him. I started thinking, I bet Moses walking up to the most powerful man in the world named Pharaoh, saying, let my people go, didn't look like much, but he had God working on the inside of him. I bet David, when he stepped to the battle line with Goliath in the valley of Elah, and he said, I bet he didn't look like much when he said, you come to me with sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, and you will fall. I bet Peter didn't look like much when they arrested him and put him in front of the Sanhedrin and said, don't you ever talk about Jesus again. He said, looked him in the face, eyeball to eyeball, and said, you killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead. This is our gospel. You don't have to look like much, because when God's Spirit is working on the inside of you, God gets the glory. You don't get the glory. In fact, that's how I can figure out if it's really God's Spirit on your life. If it's all out, look at me, it might not be God. But when it's look at him, he's good, he's grateful, he is a powerful God, then it might be his Spirit, because when God's Spirit moves on people, ordinary people can do incredible things. The Spirit of the Lord. Look at the next one. Look at 15:19. Then say it with me, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to Ascalon and struck down 30 men, stripped them of everything, and gave their clothes to another group of men that he had to pay a debt to. He beat them naked, took the clothes, and that's Hebrew for he opened up a can. And that's my last wrestling analogy. Some of you are like, just mean. God's mean. No. You got to remember last week. The Philistines had been terrorizing or oppressing Israel for 40 years. Samson's just getting a little bit of judgment by the power of the Lord on the Philistines. It was the Spirit of God that was empowering Samson to accomplish the work of God. In fact, I figured out sometimes God can call you to a task that is greater than anything you could accomplish in your own power. Because if you constantly rely on your own power, eventually you will end up empty. You will end up where you don't have the strength to go on. You will end up saying things like, I have nothing left to give. The problem is you've been giving out of your resource instead of out of his abundance. So it's going to take more. It's going to take more than what you got to be who God's called you to be. It's going to take more of what God has assigned for you in this life to accomplish than what you have. More strength, more wisdom, more faith, and it's only going to come through his Spirit, not your strength. So you can try to man up on it or woman up on it. You can try to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but if you do not learn to access and harness the power of the Holy Spirit in your life, you will end up exhausted. It's the secret. It's the secret to strength. The second one is this, number 2, jot it down. It was God's anointing, not Samson's actions. Delilah said, tell me the secret to your strength. I'll be like, come here, Delilah girl. Come here. Let me tell you a secret. It ain't his hair, baby girl. It's God's anointing. What's his anointing? Anointing, like prophets were anointed, priests were anointed, kings were anointed. In fact, John, the Apostle John says, everybody who names the name of Christ is now anointed. You're anointed. If you didn't know you were anointed, boom, you're anointed. Ain't no professional Christians. Everybody's on the team. But Samson, he cannot get out of his own way, y'all. And I'm going to be like, dude, don't do what you know is wrong. Don't that frustrate you when people do what you know they know is wrong? Come on, we know. Come on, say that with me. We know. Come on, one more time. We know dishonesty is wrong. We know. Come on, say it with me. We know. We know greed is wrong. We know selfishness is wrong. But that don't stop some of y'all from going into the express line at Walmart or Publix with your full cart, and it clearly is marked 20 items or less. And then you're wondering, why isn't God's favor on my life? I know, because you go to the wrong line at Publix. That's why. We know. I don't know if you ever, Carter, my oldest son, man, he's kind of like Sam. He liked to push the envelope. Anybody have a child that liked to push the envelope? Man, I remember he was about 5 or 6 years old. He was doing something. I remember this time it wasn't. I said, hey, buddy, if you don't stop that, you're going to get in trouble. The little boy looked at me and he said, what kind of trouble? What you mean, what kind of trouble? He goes, like timeout trouble or spanking trouble? Now, here's the deal. I Texas Hold'em, I all in. I was like, spanking. I thought that would stop him, right? He looks back at me and says, regular spanking or fire spanking? A fire spank. I did not spank my children with a fire stick or anything, all right? He came up with this saying that if I let him keep his jeans on, that was a regular spanking. If I made him pull his jeans down, that's a fire spanking. Okay? So that's his definition, not mine. Don't be calling DHS, all right? He got a hot poker out of the fire. No, I didn't do that, no. I said, fire spanking. I thought that was it. He looks at me and says, how many licks? I'm like, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do what. Like some things you don't even have to pray about. This ain't hard, Samson. Like you ain't got to pray about gossip. Oh, you thought I was talking about like sexual sin and stuff. No, you want me to preach about stuff you don't deal with, right? No, it's a gossip when you're talking about that person at work and you don't want them to hear you when they come here. Trust me, if they talk about others while you're around, they talk about you while you ain't around. Trust me. Come on. You don't have to pray about being angry. You don't have to pray about some of this stuff. In chapter 14, it seems that Samson get his act together, and it seems through every commentator and every scholar I read that he is faithful for 20 years. In fact, let me read the verse in chapter 15. Chapter 15, verse 20 says this. Samson led Israel for how long? For 20 years. So he had an issue in 14. He got married, ended in divorce. Bad things happened. Everybody gets hurt. He gets things straightened out, I guess, and for 20 years, and then look at 16 verse 1. Here's what it says. One day, 20 years of faithfulness. And one day, Samson went to Gaza. He went somewhere he shouldn't have went. He went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. He saw something he shouldn't have saw. And he went in to spend the night with her. He saw a prostitute. And he went in to spend the night with her. I'm like, man, this dude, 20 years of faithfulness, 20 years of faithfulness, 20 years of faithfulness. And then one day, I'm like, did this brother have a midlife crisis? Dude, don't go to Gaza and see a prostitute. Go buy Harley. I don't know. There's a better way to get through this. Amen, Chris? Amen. There's a better way to get over this. If I could talk to Samson, I'm like, hey, man, you ain't got to do it. You ain't got to go out like this, bro. You ain't got to go out this way. And if you're upset, I said prostitute like 4 times. We have an excellent kids ministry. If you're going to have to answer a question later on. I started thinking about this. Gaza, if you like astronauts, Gaza was the capital city of the Philistines. So he goes to the capital city of a place he shouldn't have went. It's 25 miles from where he lives. So he's not going to 7-Eleven to get a slushie. It's not like I went to the 7-Eleven and there she was. No, 25 miles. I was thinking about things preachers think about during the week. I was thinking about, I wonder how many steps it takes to walk 25 miles. I wonder how many steps that is. Well, according to Google, if you want to know, 56,000 steps. 56,000. Why am I telling you this? Because he had 56,000 opportunities to turn around, but he didn't. I'm telling you this because he didn't ruin his life all at once. He ruined his life one step at a time. I'm telling you, he put 20 years of faithfulness at risk for one day of pleasure. And here's the deal. My prayer was then like, God, open my eyes. Don't let me be blind like Samson. Open my eyes to see that before I justify a compromise, open my eyes. Open my eyes to the traps and the tricks of the enemy so he doesn't hold me captive. God, help me understand that the wrong direction never leads to the right destination. God, help me see the eternal perspective, not just my immediate desire, what I want right now. God, help me see that even though I'm anointed, the anointing doesn't keep the enemy from attacking me. God, help me understand that I have a part to play when you anoint somebody. So God, lead me and guide me and protect me so I don't be like, I want to learn from Samson, not become a Samson. So he goes to Gaza. This ain't even Delilah. So he's already married and divorced, and now he goes spends the night with a prostitute. And Samson, I think he assumed his disobedience would never catch up to him. And I'm always amazed by people who create their own storm and then complain when it rains. Hello, is this on? Is this on? Oh, y'all know people like that? You know, not you, other people, right? Other people. Look at verse 17. Man, I'm reading chapter 16 like I'm watching a scary movie, like a dumb, scary movie, where the person runs into the shed with chainsaws. And you're like, don't go. He's hanging out with Delilah. I'm like, stop. Look what it said. So he told Delilah everything. No razor had ever been used on his head. He said, I've been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. And if you shave my head, my strength would leave me. Now, we learned about this phrase last week, Nazirite. And the Nazirite had 3 things. Go ahead and throw them up there. 3 things that a Nazirite could not do were, next one, 3 things a Nazirite could not do. Don't drink wine. Don't touch anything dead. And don't get your hair cut. Now, here's the deal. Why were these things important? Well, number one, when we get to chapter 16, verse 17, he's already done 2. And I think I can make a pretty strong theological argument, Pastor Matt, that God did not remove his protection and his provision until strike 3. I'm not saying God gives you strike 3 and you lose. I'm just telling you, don't drink wine. He had a bachelor party in chapter 14. He drank a lot of wine. God didn't do anything. He led Israel. Hey, don't touch anything dead. You remember that lion he killed? He touched a dead lion. I mean, he actually, when he's on his way back, he reaches down and gets honey from it. So that's strike 2. God doesn't remove his spirit, favor, protection. It's not until this one right here where I think God's like, bro, it don't have to be this way. Why was wine in there? Well, wine in the Old Testament represented natural joy. People would represent wine to have joy. The reason a Nazirite would take a vow that I don't want to drink wine is because God wanted to supply them with supernatural joy. It's not that the need for joy was a bad thing. It's that a lot of times we get in trouble when we have a godly need, but we meet it in an ungodly way. That's why. Don't touch anything dead. Why? Because it was unclean. It was unclean. So all it was a standard. And a lot of people, when they hear the word standard, think restrictive. Oh, you're so restrictive. We found out, and by guiding people, especially in our freedom class, if you've ever been through freedom, you need to go through freedom. We found out that God has amazing freedom within boundaries for every believer. And the last one was don't cut your hair. Why? Because it was the outward evidence. Now, I grew up church, man. I grew up old school church. I grew up like silk shirt church. You know what I'm talking about, with ties and three-piece suit. I mean, we were holiness. We were Pentecostal, like how you dress with and I think in an effort to not be religious, we said we don't want any evidence. Like we're scared to death that, I don't want to push my spiritual views on people. Well, you don't mind pushing your political views on people. Oh, can we get real? Because I just don't really, I don't want to be a bossy Christian. Well, you're a bossy Republican. I guarantee you, about 8 weeks, there ain't one person going to be like, I really don't want to push my football views on other people. Even Auburn fans, this is our year. No, it's not. You're so sweet. Have your hope for a little while. Have your hope. Well, all I'm saying is you don't have a problem espousing or having evidence for anything else in your life, whether you're a sports fan, a political junkie, a hunter, whatever it is you like, whatever it is you love, it will come out in your life. I'm just curious why a lot of times it never comes out spiritually. She cuts his hair. Pastor Matt, I'm done. I'm out of time. And the Philistines come in, and they have a group, and they grab him, and they take him captive. And the first thing they do, and I think it's representative to how he was in his life, they blind him. I think he was blind, Neil. He couldn't see it. I don't know how he couldn't see it, but he couldn't see it. So they take him, they chain him up, and they blind him, and they would parade him around on holidays like the 4th of July, except it was for the idol god called Dagon. And they would take him to Dagon's temple, and they would say, look at the used to be great Samson. And what they did is they took him and they put him in a grinding mill where you would tie an oxen to a pole. And he would push that pole around and around, and he would grind out the grain. The great Samson grinding out grain. And I'm like, how did we end up here? I felt like the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, the same way you end up in prisons, same way you end up held captive. One step at a time. And then I don't know how you talk to God. I'm just pretty honest with God. I say, well, God, go read Hebrews chapter 11 in the New Testament. I'm like, well, how did this sucker end up in Hebrews chapter 11? Like Abraham, Moses, David, Samson. One of these things is not like the other. How did he end up there? Number 3, here's how. God's grace, not Samson's goodness. I want to illustrate this. I'll try to get done on time. So they take Samson, they would bring him out, and they would have, if you ever seen like historical Roman architecture, have columns or pillars. They'd have these pillars, and he would push the grain. And one day they bring him out at the end of his life. Matt, will you be my pillar? Stand right there. He's the pillar. He can't see, he's blind. They take his hands, they unchain him for a minute. And he tells his attendant, he says, can you lean my hand on the pillar? And then he prays. Look at this prayer. Throw that verse up there for me. He cries out to God. Then Samson prayed to the Lord. And I don't know why it took him 4 chapters to get here, but he finally says, Sovereign Lord. It reminds me of Jesus when he says, Our Father who art in heaven. He doesn't say, hey, I'm Samson, I'm the anointed one, I'm a Nazarite. He's finally come to the place in his life where he is up against something that he cannot fix on his own. And then he prays these 2 words that sound eerily familiar if you're a Bible person. He says, remember me. Remember me. Where have we heard that before? Remember me, remember me. The thief on the cross could do no good, couldn't serve in the kids' ministry, couldn't go to summer camp. Thief on the cross looked at Jesus, says, remember me. Jesus looked at him, says, today it's grace. So Samson throws himself on the grace of God and he says, strengthen me one more time. And the Bible says that the 5,000 Philistines, he pushes with all of his might. And the temple collapses and he accomplishes in his death what he could never accomplish in his life. What I figured out when I was reading this text is so many of us turn and face me, resist me. Like we're pushing on things and we're saying, why isn't it moving? See, a lot of you, you'll push on a addiction because you don't want to be that way. You don't want to take the substance. You don't look at the picture. Whatever it is, all right? And you're like, I'm never going to do it again. I'm never going to do it again. And that's willpower. So you're like, I'm never going to do it again. But you pushing by yourself doesn't break the bondage. See, a lot of you, maybe you battle insecurity. So you have harmful thoughts about harming yourself. And you're like, I'm not going to think that anymore. Well, that's a great plan. Because if I told you not to think about a yellow school bus, you'd be thinking about a yellow school bus right about now. If I told you not to think about the doo-doo brown dirty seats that you rode on, you would imagine the doo-doo brown dirty seats that you rode on when you were in elementary school. If I now tell you not to imagine your bus driver, most of you can name your bus driver. So you're pushing against harmful patterns in your own strength. But when Samson called out to the Lord, he got backup. He wasn't pushing in his own strength. In fact, come here, don't come help me. I'm going to let you be the Holy Spirit. Don't let that go to your head, all right? You be the Holy Spirit. You be the Holy Spirit. Clark, you're going to be Jesus. You ain't Jesus, but we'll go with it. So you're going to get right here. Neil, come to you. Get right behind him. Get right. This is God the Father right here. God the Father. So you got to understand, we serve a Trinity. So when he called on God, God said, when you call, I come. When you call, I'll respond. So now when Samson, see, he had been pushing in his own strength. He had been pushing in a mill, grinding out grain. But when he said, Lord, I can't do it anymore. I need your strength. I need your power. And if you ever get to the place where you hit rock bottom and you get to the place where you feel like I messed my life up so far, God can never, you call out and you'll find we serve a God that'll come running when you call. Now when I push, come on guys, I got back. Get in here on your dad. Get in here. Hey, you've been waiting for this. Come on. And you can say, get behind me. Come on. Every generational curse has got to go. Every bondage has got to break. Come on. I got backup. Thank you, guys. Y'all give it up for them. So if you're here. I want to pray for some people that's ready to push. Well, I've tried that before, but have you tried it the right way? Will you bow your heads? Will you close your eyes for your Heavenly Father? God, I believe this is a Judges 16 moment where when we call, we'll realize that we weren't forsaken, treading out the grain. God, I pray for every person in this room. that feels overwhelmed by the cares of life. If you're in this room and you need the hand of God to push with you when you push against the stronghold that's standing against you, if you're in this room and you need God to defeat the anxiety, you need God you need God to do something in your kid's life. You've done all you know to do, and it's still I feel like there's some people in this room, you resigned that you were going to have to live life a certain way. I guess I'll deal with this forever. That's a lie from Satan. We serve a God that has a deliverance, that is a deliverer. So if you're in this room and you say, hey, I've got to have the hand of God to be who God's called me to be, to do what He's called me to do, to live the life He's called me to live, if that's you, I want you to stand to your feet right where you are. 1, 2, 3, get up right where you are.